Did you know that the majority of replies to your cold email outreach campaigns comes from the second, third, or fourth email, not your first? In fact, the statistics out there, the data that I've been reading about, suggest that 65% of the people who are cold emailing prospects are not following up at all, which is completely mad. So in this video, we're going to go over the follow-up email sequence, how to write them, how many emails we need to write, and how specifically we're going to automate the whole process. So let's jump in. So this video is based on an article I've been writing on b2bhero.co, which is my blog. I'm going to link it down in the description below. Check out the article. It's the best cold email follow-up email sequence after no response. And in it, I go into massive detail about cold email, how to write them. There's even templates of how to write each email, follow-up 1, 2, 3, and 4. So check out the link in the description below for the best follow-up email sequence blog out there. So Backlinko did a mega study into the follow-up email sequence. They always do these mega studies. They're really interesting to read. And what they found is that by sending 3 or more messages resulted in a 65.8% boost in replies, which is huge. And it's so simple to do. I've been researching also the Goji sequence. It's in the blog, all about the Goji sequence. This incorporates, omni-channel. So it's also phone call, LinkedIn, automation, email automation. But it's really interesting to see how a follow-up sequence, not just email, is so powerful. And the big SDRs, the big companies, have this amazing strategy where they follow up with first an email, then it's like a LinkedIn follow-up, a LinkedIn view, an email reply, then a phone call. It's really a powerful system for converting prospects into scheduled phone calls and demos. And as some of you already may know, I love Beck Holland and her strategy she has around cold email. She's so good at what she does, and there's a wealth of information that we can learn from her. But basically, I've been analyzing her follow-up cold emails, mixed with the Goji and mixed with a few other strategies to basically create this video and the blog I wrote for you. So the second follow-up email according to Beck Holland should be a fresh new thread. So don't just hit the reply, start a new one. And then we're kind of doing the same tactic we would in the first email we sent. So this is quite a lot more intensive. I'm going to give you my take on this in a second. But basically what she suggests is that we have a first liner, a personalized first liner again. And according to her, there are a few different things we can be doing in terms of the first liner. For example, mentioning article or prospect row, or complimenting the prospect on the growth of their business, chatting about some content that the prospect engaged with. So this is in order of hierarchy that she reckons. But for example, saying, hey, I noticed you wrote an article on X, Y, and Z. I specifically like this very specific point. That's your first liner. And then it goes into the second part, which is hooking the personalization to the value proposition. So she's always talking about trying to, move from that first liner and associating it somehow to your value proposition, which is what you sell and why you're contacting them. So this is kind of like the pitch part where you're saying, this is what I do. Are you interested in X, Y, and Z? I do LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn ads are amazing for these reasons. I'm just reminding you about this because you've sent a first email and this is the third email you're sending, or the second follow-up email. And then you go straight into the call to action. And she mentions to keep the call to action quite short and quite specific. So something like, can I have a few minutes at 3 p.m. next Tuesday to chat about this? So specifically a time and day to talk about this. So that's the closing line. My take on this is that this is great, but I feel like this is like, I would like to automate as much of the follow-up as possible. And I know the reply rates probably won't be as good, but I would probably try to do something a little bit more generic and just either do a brand new thread, but mention the original email and add as much value as you can, either by, again, linking to another blog article, or maybe having some kind of video where you're teaching about what you do or something along these lines. But I would like to automate the entire follow-up process, because if we don't, as small business owners, we're not sales development reps. We don't do this full time. We actually have full-time jobs. We might be running our own business. We might be, freelancers actually doing the work, but we're also trying to do the sales part, right? So we don't want to spend too much time on this. So from my take on this, I would actually just use, for example, SNOVIO or Woodpecker to automate the entire process. This is why I use these, is because we then automate the follow-up email sequence. So we put everything we need in there, we write everything out, and we just personalize that first email the first liner, either with a video or with a first liner, and then the rest is automated. So we end up sending 3 or 4 emails completely automated to all our prospects to get the highest reply rates. But to do that manually is hugely time consuming. So I highly recommend just using Woodpecker. There's a link in the description below for Woodpecker. This is my favorite one, but you can also use, for example, I love SNOVIO because it also can get the email address. I use SNOVIO to get email addresses from LinkedIn or from websites, and it's quite cool because the flow is all under one platform. It gets the email and then goes into the email drip. And that's it basically. So the way I do it is I get the emails with SNOVIO and then use Woodpecker, but you can use any of the Mailshake, Reply.io. There's tons of tools out there, but just pick one and definitely use a tool. So I want to really quickly pause here and just tell you about my free cold email course that I've been working on. It's a completely free course sent to your email box every day for 6 days. And we just go into all the, it's a cold email crash course, which I put a lot of effort into, and it includes videos and a lot of different tips and tricks. So sign up now, it's totally free. And yeah, it's just like as much value as possible I put into this course. So if you've got to follow up email 3 and you still haven't got a reply, so you send email 1, you send follow up 1, 2, and now this is the 3rd, and there hasn't been a reply after 1 and 2, we need to twist things around a bit, and suddenly we need to go into holding ourselves accountable, which basically means we probably approach them in the wrong way, and we can potentially assume that they have read our emails and somehow we haven't quite hit a chord. So at this point, we either have to re-communicate what we were re-communicate our value proposition in a completely different way that is more specific to them. Maybe you've been trying to communicate the value proposition to a founder, to a sales director, which actually works better for founders. So for example, I might be saying how founders are, LinkedIn ads are amazing for startups because of these reasons. And these are the kind of, value proposition I'm still talking about, but to a sales director of a much larger, startup company, they have different understanding of what they need out of LinkedIn ads. Although they get the same thing, which is growth and leads, the way they understand why they want that is different. So maybe I'm communicating not in the right way. So this is your opportunity now, is to try to rethink the way you communicate and approach it in a different way. And one thing you can do is show vulnerability and show that you're accountable. So you can even say, okay, I've noticed that, probably I've approached this in the wrong way. Maybe this is not exactly what you need, but would you consider it if X, Y, and Z? So you're holding yourself accountable in the email. You're showing you're vulnerable and you're human, which is kind of like a lot of the stuff we're trying to get through, is to show we're human and we're not, automating everything. And one thing you can do is just add value. So again, adding value is a theme throughout. And again, you ask, but this time we're going to ask permission, which is, do you mind if I send you some more information about this, which could help you understand this a bit more? Or do you mind if I send you a video, a Loom video explaining, dissecting your website and how I can improve it, or dissecting your LinkedIn ads to show you why I think you could do a lot better if you hired me and spoke to me on the phone. So you're asking permission to send them some kind of value potentially, or you're just re-communicating the value proposition in this follow-up email sequence. So the 4th follow-up email sequence is the breakup email, which is basically you're just saying, you're giving them the opportunity to realize that you're actually going to leave, and then you have to leave. And this is really important. If you're going to say, look, this is my last email I'm sending, I'm so sorry if this hasn't been for you. This is my last email I'm sending. If you have any requirements for this because you've been busy, now's the time to reply. And this is really important to actually stick to your word. Don't actually follow up again after a breakup email. That just being a good human being and being a good cold email. I think that we have to bring a lot of philosophy into cold emailing, because there's a lot of bad practices that happen out there. So if you're going to do a breakup email for your 4th follow-up, just stick to it. And basically a follow-up email sequence should be polite. You shouldn't be cocky or anything like that in a breakup email. Just be polite and just say, look, I can imagine this isn't quite for you. That's not a problem at all. This is the final email I'm going to send you. If you have any questions at all, or if you would actually like to, schedule a phone call, but you've just been too busy, this is your chance now. So go for it. So it could look something like this. Hi X, the reason for my outreach is that I wanted to check in one last time and just to make sure that I haven't overstepped. Given your, fill the gap, I thought you might like the attached piece of content on fill the gap. Maybe it's me, but I'm getting the feeling that now is just not the best time to connect. If not, no worries, maybe we can connect in the future. All the best, your name. P.S. I thought you might enjoy the following content, add value. So that's a breakup follow-up email. And as a bonus tip, the PS part, I would often put nearly in every single email, definitely in follow-up email too. But PS is actually what people skim their email. And if you look at the studies, a lot of people will read that first liner, skim kind of the value prop, see the call to action, and they'll look at the PS part. So PS is a great place to just add a bit of value to say, PS, this bit of content that I wrote this article about X, Y, and Z, maybe you'd find it interesting, is a great way just to push, give them some value, and they can click on that. And if they read your article or watch your video or watch your masterclass or read some, get some kind of value from your company or from you directly, that's going to add some really good feelings in their mind about you. So when they would be much more likely to reply or when they get another follow-up. So the PS part of each email is really easy and useful way just to actually increase the reply rates. So if you found that useful, check out this video that's popping up now on how to write the first email. So not the follow-up, the first email. Click on that right now.